out there, YouTube land and also some social media lands. Welcome to an all-new video. In this video, we're going to be doing a movie review of a new film that just came out last weekend and is a sequel to a great franchise that started back in 1984. So we're going to go right into that. Before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so to miss this video and the other videos I put up. As always, people, if you enjoy my content here on YouTube, definitely check out my other social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon. Pretty much post regularly on those, so definitely check those out. As always, people, let's get right into this. How's it going out there, YouTube land and also social media lands? Welcome to an all-new video. In this video, like I said before, we're going to be doing a movie review of a new film that just came out last weekend and is a sequel in a long-running series that started back in 1984. And that happens to be the film called Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Yeah. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Yeah. Woohoo. Yeah. So this is technically considered the fifth Ghostbusters film, but actually technically in the original universe this is considered the fourth film. Even though we had a 2016 kind of reboot slash kind of new take on the Ghostbusters, this film is still considered really the fourth film in the original film series. But this film is, like I said, a continuation of the previous film that came out a couple years ago called Ghostbusters Afterlife, but still is a continuation of, like I said, the original two films from 84 and 89. Now, we once again get to bring back several of the original characters from the original films, and then we also have the characters returning from the previous film in Afterlife as well. The last film, of course, if you remember correctly, was pretty much basically kind of a rendition of the original 1984 film, if you think about it. Just with new people and kind of a different setting because it takes place in Oklahoma versus in New York. And, just they kind of, changed things up a little bit, but gave us pretty much the same story. Which is nice about the new one, about, Frozen Empire, is the fact that we actually get a different villain, we get kind of a different story, but with the same characters from the previous films, which was really refreshing to see. Now, if you're a fan of the Ghostbuster film series, I'm sure a lot of us were hoping for a lot of the people from the originals to return, especially the two original films, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, even Rick Moranis, Andy Potts, William Atherton returning from the second film. We really, these are characters that we have fallen in love with back in the 80s and was really looking forward to see in the third film at least, but we got a little bit of that, but this one definitely turned on the nostalgia wheels, which was really fun, and I think made it a really fun film. Now, this film happens to be directed none other by a gentleman that goes by the name of Gil Kenan. Oh yeah, Gil Kenan, woo! Gil Kenan, yeah! Gil Kenan! So Gil Kenan, who's directed a few other things over the years, is a recently great director. I think he's done, like I said, a few things, but I think he's a really great up-and-coming director. He's got a lot of great, talent. He's got a great eye for making movies, and from what I've seen of his work so far, he's done a really great job. And I feel that he really brought a great flavor to the Ghostbuster film, Frozen Empire. And what I really enjoyed about what he did is he made it seem very much like the original two films. And that's what I loved about it. The writing, the directing, the cinematography, all of it seemed very much like the original two Ghostbusters film that Ivan Reitman directed. And I think that it was really well done, that Gil did such a great job of giving us that same nostalgic feeling as those two previous films did. Whereas you can definitely tell there was a big difference in, Afterlife, especially with Ivan Reitman's son directing it, Jason Reitman. And I feel that Gil did a great job of bringing back that original feel from those two first films and give us a really solid new film that has, newer technology, but at the same time brings back that great feeling that we got from those original two films. Now, Gil, I think, directed this, like I said, really well. I really enjoyed what he brought to it, and I'm glad he gave us this film and gives a really good sequel to Afterlife. Which, Afterlife, I'm not saying was a horrible film. I really enjoyed it, but this one, I just feel, is far superior to that film. Now, if you haven't seen anything else Gil Kenan has directed, definitely one to check out that I really enjoyed and thought it was one of my favorites of his directing duties, is a great film that came out. It's a CGI film in 2005 called Monster House. Yeah! Monster House. Yeah! So Monster House is an all CGI film, which was really incredible, great voice cast, and was just so fun of a film. I liked the whole concept of it, and I thought Gil did a great job with the film and giving this really solid, completely animated film. But he did a great job of directing the voiceovers in the film, giving us a really solid performance from all of them that really brought it out in the animation itself, that made you feel like these are real people, these are real characters that I'm really seeing visually in real life. And I thought Gil did a great job of giving us this really solid kind of like feel of a film that was very 80s, I felt, inspired, but at the same time, it was just a really well-rounded story and a great fun concept of this house, you know, being alive and, you know, people trying to figure out why this house is alive and, like, save the day and stuff like that. And I just thought Gil did a really great job and gave us a really solid, fully CGI animated film. And I just really like the direction he took in it. I like how it was written. I like how he gave us really solid visuals. I just think overall he did a really great job. If you haven't seen Monster House, definitely check it out for Gil Kenan's directing. I think he directed it very beautifully. But overall, I really enjoyed how he directed Frozen Empire. I thought he did a really great job giving us a really solid, fun sequel. And overall, I just think that he did a really great job. If you haven't seen anything Gil Kenan has done recently, definitely go check out Ghostbusters Frozen Empire in theaters now. He did a phenomenal job. So this film has a really great cast, a lot of great people returning from previous films, a couple new additions to this film that have not been in the great series yet, and just overall a really fantastic crew of people that brought to life and did a great job of remembering Ivan with this film, and it being dedicated to him was really awesome. And I just really enjoyed everything that they did with this film, and this whole cast just was really fantastic. Now, to start us off is none other than a returner from Afterlife. He, of course, wasn't in the other two films, but he was a big part of the last film. And that happens to be Mr. Paul Rudd. Oh yeah, Paul Rudd, woo, Paul Rudd, yeah. So of course you all probably recognize Paul Rudd as Ant-Man recently in the last 10 years. Mr. Scott Lang from the Marvel Studios films. You might recognize him from Clueless. You might recognize him from Halloween 5. You might recognize him from a slew of things over the years. Just, you know, always a really great character actor, leading man too, I feel. And Paul is just a great actor. Absolutely love him. He's such a great comedian. And I just absolutely loved him in Afterlife. And I was so happy he was coming back for this one. And once again, he was just fantastic in this film. His performance as the now stepfather of the two kids from the previous film, McKenna Grace's character and Finn Wolfhard, I was like so blown away by the fact that, you know, supposedly this is supposed to be 2 years later, but at the same time it's also they're supposed to be married at this point. But there's no really any reference to that, you know, them getting married or anything. It's like all of a sudden he's just their stepdad. But they make sure to reference to the whole entire film that he's really not that. He's just somebody there, which I thought was super hilarious and good writing. And I thought Paul did such a great job of portraying that and give us a really solid kind of stepfather figure. And he was just so funny. He had some great one-liners throughout it. And he just was such a great, fun pleasure to see in the film. He just was so freaking fantastic. Now, if you haven't seen another Paul Rudd film, definitely one you should check out, which is one of my favorites of his, is a great film from 2005 called The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Yeah! The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Yeah! Oh my god. This character that he plays in The 40-Year-Old Virgin was so freaking hilarious. Especially when he decides to become basically abstinent And then they come up with all these great one-liners that him and Seth Rogen have at this one part of the film was absolutely freaking hilarious. But like his whole story, character arc was absolutely funny as hell through that film. And just he was such a great addition to that whole cast in that film. You know, Steve Carell, Seth Rogen, Romany Falco, you know, they all played so well in that together. But Paul Rudd's character in that was just so freaking funny. And I absolutely love a lot of the scenes that he comes up with. That great scene where he's finally lost it completely, and he's like videotaping his butt and stuff like that was absolutely freaking hilarious too. And it just was such a great character. And definitely, if you haven't seen this as one of Paul Rudd's roles, it's definitely one to check out because he's just so freaking good in it. If you haven't seen The 40-Year-Old Virgin, definitely check it out for Paul Rudd's performance. He was absolutely awesome in that film. But overall, I really enjoyed his performance in Frozen Empire. He did a great job. He was a great addition to the film. And I think he worked really well with all the other actors, including the originals coming back. And I think they all made this film so enjoyable. If you haven't seen Paul Rudd recently, go check him out in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. He was excellent. So that brings me to the next person I'd like to talk about with this film. And that is none other than one of the original OG Ghostbusters coming back. Mr. Dan Aykroyd! Oh yeah, Dan Aykroyd! Woo! Dan Aykroyd, yeah! So of course you might recognize Dan Aykroyd, of course, from the original 2 Ghostbusters film as Ray Stantz. You might recognize him, of course, from films like Blues Brothers 2000. You might recognize him from, you know, TV shows he's been on, new TV shows he's doing, his amazing Baka he created, and all this kind of stuff. Just Dan Aykroyd is an awesome actor, just all-around cool person that has done so many great things over the last 70-plus years of his life, and he's just so cool. And I was so happy to see him back in this film in a much bigger capacity. And he just really delivered it. He was so Ray Stantz. You can see that he was really, you know, owning his real desires in real life, what he likes about the occult and spiritual things and stuff like that. And you can definitely see that like nerding out comes alive in his characterization of Ray Stantz. And I absolutely loved it. And he was so fun in this and so hilarious. His you know, reaction to all the other characters that return to the film and how he acts with them and stuff like that is just so much fun. And just overall, he just did a really fantastic job that was super entertaining and just a really great addition to this film. Now, one of the best scenes, I think, is after his encounter with the one spirit that can transform itself into other things. It can go in and take control of them. And him and Ernie Hudson are having like this special talk. Was absolutely freaking hilarious. And just such Ray Stantz, but also I feel that would be really Dan Aykroyd in real life. And it was just so awesome. Now, if you haven't seen Dan Aykroyd anything, you should definitely check out a great film that came out in the late 80s, starring the late, great John Candy, called The Great Outdoors. Yeah, The Great Outdoors. Yeah. This is such a great film, and Dan Aykroyd is so great in it. I absolutely love him in it, and he just plays such a really great character that's super funny and super awesome, and his characterization of the character is just really on point. And he plays like kind of a sleazeball type of character, and it's like perfect, and he just plays it so well between him and how John Candy is in the film. And I think this movie really shows how great a comedian Dan Aykroyd is too, because even though he's sleazy, he has some great one-liners in the film, and just some really great acting too as well. If you haven't seen The Great Outdoors for Dan Aykroyd's performance, definitely check it out. He was really phenomenal in that film. But once again, like I said, he was phenomenal in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. He was so fun, so awesome, and absolutely loved him in it. If you haven't seen him in anything recently, go check him out in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire now. He was excellent. So before I get into my final actor I like to talk about this, I just want to give an honorable mention to, of course, McKenna Grace, Finn Wolfhard, Carrie Coon, Ernie Hudson, Emily Van Lind, who you might recognize from the Babysitter films, who is her sisters. Several of her other sisters are actresses as well. And just Patton Oswalt, Bill Murray, they all were really fantastic. Annie Potts in this film. They all just delivered very well and really fun in this film, and were also great additions to this film. and just gave it and made it even more funner too as well. They were such a great cast and all did such a great job. So if you haven't seen anything they've been in, definitely go Google them, see what else they've been in, check out their things, because they're all excellent actors and actresses. They all are amazing and were a great addition to this film. But bringing me to my final actor I'd like to talk about this film is none other than a great comedic actor, comedic writer, comedic director that is absolutely freaking awesome. I absolutely love this guy. And that, of course, is Mr. Kumail Nanjiani. Oh yeah, Kumail Nanjiani, yeah. Oh, Kumail is so freaking hilarious. You might recognize him, of course, from several things over the years. You might recognize him from the Eternals in recent years. You might recognize him from his bit parts in different films, stuff like that. From his great little cameo in Central Intelligence in 2016 as the airport guy, where Kevin Hart's trying to distract him while The Rock is trying to get a plane. It's absolutely freaking hilarious. He's so freaking funny in that. And I think that, Kumail is such a great comedian, and he really pulls it together. And anything I've seen him in where he just plays the character so well. And this was no exception in Frozen Empire. He was just so freaking awesome. I loved his character. I loved the arc of his character, and I absolutely loved just everything they brought to life with this character too. Him being like this descendant of this particular tribe of people that are keeping this particular god in his place so that he won't come and ravage the world and stuff like that was just so freaking awesome. And he absolutely has no clue to it and has no idea what he's doing. It's absolutely freaking hilarious too. And I absolutely loved it, and Kumail pulled it off so well and just was so cool in this film. Absolutely loved him. He was like one of my best favorite parts about this film. He just does such a great job. Now, if you haven't seen Kumail in anything else, you should definitely check him out in a great film that came out a couple years ago. That's kind of like a buddy cop type of like action comedy film. And that, of course, is a film called Stuber. Yeah! Stuber! Yeah, this movie is absolutely freaking hilarious. Dave Bautista's in it, and Kumail was so freaking funny in this as like this Uber driver that gets caught in this whole cop and robber type of deal thing where he's helping Bautista as a cop, and he just absolutely has some of the greatest one-liners in this film, and you just absolutely fall in love with his character, and he's so freaking funny, and he just plays this like action kind of not action guy comedy type of deal very well, especially the scene where they're fighting at the dog clinic or at the veterinary clinic, and he's like throwing cans and stuff like that. Was absolutely freaking hilarious, and he just played that so well, and he just was so funny in that film, and I absolutely just loved him in it. If you haven't seen him in anything, definitely check him out in Stuber. He was really fantastic in that, and like I said, when it came to Frozen Empire, he just was so perfect in this film. He was absolutely what I was looking for. He made the film even better, and he just was really fantastic in it. Some great one-liners throughout this film, some great moments throughout this film, especially towards the end, and he just was so fun. If you haven't seen Kumail in anything recently, definitely go check him out in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire now. He was absolutely fantastic. So what is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire about? Basically, the premise of the story in this is there is this particular god being that basically is trying to get unleashed in the modern time world now in New York City. And it's up to the Ghostbusters to stop him and get him back into his prison that he was put into thousands of years ago. And unfortunately, this mess gets happened because one of the Ghostbusters get reluctant with a ghost that is trying to help this god get out, and she lets him free, but it's up to the Ghostbusters to basically stop him and, return him to his prison with the help of a fire person, which was absolutely freaking hilarious. Really fun film, really well done. There's so many great scenes throughout this film. Some of the best scenes are with Kumail Nanjiani, especially when he's learning how to use his fire powers. When he puts on the suit, it's absolutely freaking hilarious. You got some great scenes at the library. We get to see the ghost we saw in the very first Ghostbusters with Dan Aykroyd. We have some great moments with Patton Oswalt. There's several great scenes with Paul Rudd and some funny one-liners. We have a lot of great scenes that, where we get to see Finn Wolfhard, like, trying to be an adult, which is absolutely hilarious. And there's just so many great scenes where we get to see just fun aspects of what made the other Ghostbuster films so much fun. If you haven't seen this yet, highly recommend go check it out in theaters now. Amazing film, giant 10 golden movie boxes up. Can't wait to add this to the collection. Super great film. Can't wait to see it again. Haven't seen it, highly recommend. Check it out. So that's it for this movie review, guys. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Also, thank you for subscribing. If this is your first time here, or you've been here before, don't forget to check out any older, newer videos you might not see mine yet. As always, people, if you enjoy my channel, I want to thank all my new supporters, all my old supporters. You guys are rocking it. But if you want to show real support, definitely check out my Patreon page where you can get all kinds of extra accoutrement you don't get here on my YouTube channel through my Patreon. And when you become a member, get all access to all that cool stuff. Bloopers, outtakes, all that kind of cool stuff. So definitely think about it. Check it out. So as always, people, catch you in the next one.